All right, hello, and welcome to the Disneyland Family Podcast, Episode 3. This is Drew with you, and we apologize. It's been a while since we've got a podcast out. We've had people sick and people away at camp, but we're back in the saddle again and raring to go. So, what do we have on tap for us this week, Cindy?
Hi, today we're going to be talking about Peter Pan and all of its new wonderful updates. We're also going to talk about rides that terrify us. But before we get into that, I want to let everyone know about our new personal shopping service. If there's something you forgot to get in the parks while you were there, or you're not going to be able to get to the parks for a while, or just there's something you want to replace from a trip, whatever your reasons, whatever it is you need, just contact us, and you can find the information about our personal shopping service on Twitter and on Facebook. On Twitter, we are DL Family Podcast, and on Facebook, we are Disneyland Family Podcast. We also offer a referral reward service, so you will get rewarded for every person that you refer to us. Okay, so let's talk Peter Pan. Peter Pan's finally reopened from refurbishment, and it was definitely worth the wait. I was blown away by the improvements that they put into Alice in Wonderland, and I was even more blown away by what they did with Peter Pan. In fact, when I walked off that ride, I had chills up and down my arms because I was so amazed by what they did. I didn't really know what to expect at first, and it was amazing. So with that, I'm going to start with Drew, let him tell what he thinks about it, and we'll move around the table.
Yeah, as Cindy said, I really enjoyed the new aspects. I thought they did a good job of blending the new effects in with the old effects, and it's really a seamless kind of addition. You know, we talked about that in one of the previous podcasts, how well they did with the Alice in Wonderland ride, adding in the new effects, and this just follows suit. They did a really good job. You kind of follow Tinkerbell's pixie dust throughout the ride, and that adds a little visual element to all of the effects now. They redid the flying over London, that scene. Lots of new lights on the floor, making it look like there's actually traffic now going through the city of London. Just really well done. I believe they updated the ride cars a little bit. I think there's a caged area now around the feet. Didn't used to be there. Looks like they've updated where all the cars mount to the track as well, so it felt a little bit smoother to me. I don't know if they did anything in there, but it was a little less jerky and bouncy. Just overall, it was really well done. So.
I like the island scene. I thought they did really good with that.
Oh, yes, on the island scene, if you remember the volcano, and you could see that there's supposed to be water, but now when you look at it, it actually looks like the water is moving and flowing. It is just amazing. The lava too. It's all been brought to life. It's no longer just looking at, like a little cartoon still or something. The improvements have truly brought this ride to life. Like Drew said, with having Tinkerbell follow you, actually lead you through the ride, she's leaving, pixie dust everywhere you go. It's just sparkly and shiny, and there's so much movement now to things. You really feel like you have left and gone to Neverland. The whole new London town is absolutely amazing. You truly feel like you are flying right above the rooftops of those homes. And yeah, you can see the little traffic moving. There's clouds. They did a fantastic job with this one, and this is a must see. Totally recommend this. It's great for all ages. I don't think there's anything in there that would really
If you have a fear of heights, it can still give that illusion that you're a little bit farther off the ground than you actually are. You're maybe 6 to 10 feet off the ground, if that. But with some of the City of London effects, it can make it feel like you're a little bit further up. So if you have a little one who's kind of scared of heights or scared of the dark too, that can be an issue. But no real fear factor elements in it other than that.
That's one thing that I did notice this with the improvements now. It doesn't feel as dark in there now. It used to feel like a much darker ride to me, and we're now with having Tinkerbell lighting up the path and stuff, and all the different lights now with the city and around the mountain scene. I feel like it's much brighter. So be sure to check Peter Pan out the next time that you're in the park. You will not regret it. All right. With Peter Pan out of the way, let's talk about scary stuff. Ooh. All right, so we're going to talk about what rides terrify us in both Disneyland and California Adventure. So let's start off with Disneyland and Drew.
All right, so I had a tough time in Disneyland because there's nothing that really terrifies me ride-wise, except for one that bothers me, and that's the rocket ride over in Tomorrowland. If you've never been there, this is kind of like Dumbo, except with rocket ships. So you've got cars that kind of go in a circle, and you can raise them up and down. And the thing that bothers me about this ride is the sidewalls are very low. So if you're taller in stature, you raise up, and then the car kind of tilts in. And really, the side of the car is coming up to just barely above your waist. So your top half kind of falls out of the car towards the center of this ride. And it just feels like you're going to flop right out there, out the side of the... And it's, I think the last time I rode it, Abby was 4 or 5. And, I had her in front of me, and all I can think is, oh my gosh, she's kind of sitting in front of me. If I fall out, am I going to drag her with me? Or... So you spend a lot of muscle power trying to straighten yourself up on this ride. It just, I don't know, it's a freaky feeling. I don't like it. So that's my scary ride in Disneyland.
We'll do mine next since Abby has the longest list.
It's everything.
When it comes to the Disneyland side of the resort, there aren't any rides that I'm too afraid to go on. As of was it last summer, I finally conquered my fear of Splash Mountain. So I have no fears of the rides there. As for rides that bother me, I do have a couple that make me physically sick because of motion sickness, but I just close my eyes on those now, so problem solved. Only thing is that doesn't make for Star Tours is horrible with your eyes closed. You realize quickly that all the movement that you think you're feeling, it's all visual and it's all messing with your head, because I've always had to hang on to those, handrail thingies when I had gone on the ride before, where with my eyes closed, I didn't even have to hang on. I could have sat there and knitted a sweater. I really didn't. I was like, okay, a bump here, bump there, but you really don't feel that much movement. So, but other than some motion sickness that I've, conquered, well, not conquered, but I deal with, the only ride that has been bothering me lately and I've been avoiding is Pirates of the Caribbean. And for no other reason than the tunnel part. There was a phase, in the winter when some of the lights were out in that beginning tunnel, and you kind of in pitch black there for longer than I like to be. So I would get a little panicky in there. And but now it seems to be the lights may have been replaced, because now it's not pitch black when you go through there, and I'm okay with that part. But I still some days kind of freak out being down in the water there, and I think, what if there's an earthquake? What if I'm trapped down here and people are going crazy and there's water? Yeah, that bothers me. But however, speaking of breaking down, I do want to break down in there, because I do want to see behind the scenes. I want to see how they would get us out of there. I just don't want it to be like a disaster where people are going to be like, scary crazy. So that one's just maybe more a little claustrophobia. But yeah, there's other rides that are indoors that don't bother me like that. I don't know why it's just that one. So while we're on the Disneyland side, Abby, where should we begin? Which land? Oh, maybe it'd be easier if we started out with what doesn't terrify you. Well, should we start with Fantasyland? Snow White's Scary Adventure?
Okay, first off, the witch is creepy. You can't
She
deny
is
that.
scary.
I won't go on that ride unless I have someone buff next to me. Let's see. I don't like Hell in Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. What else is there?
So, Abby, will you go on
hold
any roller
on.
coasters? How about Splash Mountain? What scares you about Splash Mountain?
The drop. I don't like drops. Unless it's like indie, but no.
So why won't you go on Thunder Mountain with me?
The drop. The drop.
Space Mountain?
That's fast.
But here, girl,
I know.
it's not really fast.
I know. The drop.
Matterhorn.
You've been on that ride, right?
Yeah, I love it. You gotta see the new Yeti.
No, thank you. Let's see, what else is there? Peter Pan I really love, but I do get freaked out with the, height. Afraid of heights.
I'll say, there's a drop in Peter Pan.
Yeah, I don't like those. Let's see.
She was holding on pretty tight during the drop sequence of Peter Pan, so.
Yeah, that's why she didn't want to ride with me as well, and she had a fit when you were about to get into my vehicle.
Stop! Don't get in the car!
I see my family does not love me.
We love making fun of you.
We love you enough to make fun of you.
That doesn't count.
We're laughing with you, not at you.
I'm not laughing though. Let's see, what else is there? Now since Cindy sort of broke down, I'm a little afraid of that after the little drop there.
Indiana Jones.
Yes. What else is there? Pirates, I do get the kind of thing where please don't have an earthquake and everything crumple down and kill me. Yes, I have a fear of dying on all the rides.
So you're saying you really don't go on much, do you?
I try.
Yeah, you do. You do, and you go through phases, I've noticed. I mean, Abby's been visiting the park since she was 3 years old. We learned when she was 3, dark rides were not her thing. She about jumped out of our car in Snow White's Scary Adventure. That witch really scares her. And then when she was 12, she still jumps.
So I'm starting to realize now, I used to get nightmares about, Snow White's ride, and I never knew why. And then, after returning to the park and going on that ride, I now see why and where I got those nightmares from. It only happens every other year.
Alright, so, yeah. Well, as she's learned, if you have a child that doesn't like being in the dark and being scared, there's a few rides you might want to avoid.
It'll be pretty much everything in Fantasyland.
Yeah, other than the carousel and Dumbo, and the storybook boats and the Casey the Train.
And teacups.
And teacups. And Small World's also considered Fantasyland. Yeah, the dark rides. Little interesting thing I had learned. I always thought that were just based off the stories. We're supposed to tell the stories. Well, year and year after going to the parks, I started to really pay attention to these. Well, especially Snow White. She doesn't get a happy ending. The ride still ends terrifying. There's no happy ending in the ride. But the thing is, I found out that these dark rides were created actually to be scary. They're not supposed to be, they'll happy story time. No. They were supposed to, I guess they're replicated after, some old time, thrill ride. They were called thrill rides at the time. And they were just meant to be dark and frightening. Well, our Snow White at Disneyland, it's still frightening, and the poor girl does not get a happy ending.
Oh, Snow White does. You can see the little mirror of her being all happy, and then the witch dies.
After you're past the exit.
It counts.
You're out of the
It's sort of
ride.
implied.
Implied, yeah.
See the mirror and go, okay, I guess it sort of is.
All right, so that pretty much wraps up, well, yeah, Disneyland. Oh, wait, why wouldn't you go on the canoes?
This is gonna sound so horrible. I'm afraid. There's. I don't want to say it's
What
gonna
are
be
you,
horrible.
what are you afraid of with the canoes?
It's gonna be horrible. I can't. It's gonna be horrible.
Oh, now you can't leave us hanging.
I'm afraid someday I'm gonna be stuck with
People who won't do their job and row. Oh, you think it's going to turn over and capsize and you're going to end up in the water. Well, you know, life happens. I can't imagine it's that deep.
Boats overturn, people drown.
Life happens. Life happens. Death happens. Get over it. But you know what? The water is not that deep. If you've watched them, prep for Fantasmic, there's guys out there in waiter suits. They're walking on something called the ground.
How do you know that?
Because if they could walk on water, they'd be on the top.
Maybe they can
They'd also have their own religion named after them, but.
Yeah, so, well, what about this? Because you will go on the Haunted Mansion all the time. What is it, and that's a dark ride, what is it about the Haunted Mansion that you've always felt safer on or you enjoy about that's different than the other dark rides that scare you?
I don't know.
I know, it's weird.
Nothing really turns around and goes at you.
Well, there are like these weird things that pop up I don't like at the end. They go,
Yeah, those do freak you out.
They added these new ones too, where they're like these weird like white mask things that are just like little and they're not cute.
So as you can imagine, when I see a family with a kid who's nervous about going on that ride, I push Abby away when I try to convince the child that it's Disney scary, not scary.
Well, there was this kid who was like nervous, and I was gonna say it's not that bad.
Well, that's good. That's nice to know.
We make it out most times. We go in.
All right, so that wraps up our what scares us at Disneyland itself.
I still have more lists, but I'll come later.
Oh,
We don't have time to go through Abby's list.
Here, you can have one more.
Death.
No, but what ride?
That's such a long list.
Pick one. All right, never mind. You'll have to save it for another day since she's not going to be quick enough.
Got the elevators and.
Oh, anything with elevators.
Yeah, that's the only thing with Indiana Jones. Most people, you do not have to experience the elevators. Those in wheelchairs or other with a disability access pass, and if you're unable to handle stairs, you will experience the elevators. They're not a problem. They're awkward, as in trying to get your group in the way they're set up. But they're fine. But Abby doesn't like elevators, so she kind of freaks out because you have to do two. One up, then you cross over, take another one down.
At any moment, those little rope things can just snip and just.
And to be fair, those are some small elevators. Every now and then I get a little claustrophobic in the Indiana Jones one because it's pretty tight, especially if you've got a wheelchair in there and you're trying to figure out how to push it in and out. And of course, it doesn't help too that they have it writing on the wall telling you you're in a box and it may sink or whatever, and that kind of adds to the illusion.
See, now here's where my love of things breaking down comes in. Remember one visit where the elevator was broken, we couldn't get back to the other side? We went back to the cast member, and we got to ride Indiana Jones again, even though there was an hour wait for everyone else, because we couldn't get out.
Do you want to become a pancake?
Oh, it's not scary. All right, so that's a wrap set up for Disneyland, and now we will move on to California Adventure. All right, so let's talk about Disney's California Adventure. All right, I'll start this one. In the past year, I actually had more than two. There was three. Goofy's roller coaster scared me for a while, but now I like that one. I just, because it physically beats me up, can't do it a lot. So I'm not terrified of that one anymore. My two fears for that park are, I think, justified because they're biggies. First being Tower of Terror. With that said, I have done it, and I have done it recently. It's just more of the physical toll, again, it takes on me. I do like that drop feeling, although I do feel the last drop is a little too long. I'm like halfway through it saying, okay, done over here, stop the ride. So that one, but basically I'm afraid of it because I am afraid of how I'm going to react in it. And I don't do it often, very rarely. The one that terrifies me the most, and that I am working on my fear of, and I am going to overcome this, hopefully soon, but someday I'm going to do it, is California Screamin'. And my fear about that one, it isn't because of the height, it isn't because of the speed, because I love fast rides. I don't care how high they go. I love the drops. It's going upside down. As a child, I was terrified of roller coasters that went upside down. I lived in the Midwest where we had, quite a few amusement parks. And I'll never forget a family trip to, I believe it was Cedar Point. And a relative tricked me onto a roller coaster that if I had realized what it was, I would never have done it. It was a double loop. Yeah, not a single loop, a double loop for my first time. Well, it was not good. I opened my eyes when we were upside down. After that, I swore never, 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 never again in my life would I do it. And I pretty much kept that. And then I did go on California Screaming once. But I think I had myself so worked up over that loop that I didn't allow myself to enjoy it. And I think I just convinced myself to hate it. Because now that I have conquered my fears on all these other roller coasters and other rides that I used to be afraid of, the only thing that scares me still is that loop. But I'm going to do it. I will get over that fear, and someday I'm going to get on there. Well, mainly because, again, here goes, I want to break down. I want to see how they get us off of there. Especially because I'm handicapped. I want to see what they would have to do, because let me tell you, I can't climb down no rope ladder. So I'm not afraid of it breaking down. In fact, I want it to break down, but just not on the loop. that I don't think I could handle. So yeah, I'm still afraid of California Screaming and Tower of Terror, but I do think those fears are justified. So Abby, okay, you got your list ready? Let's have it.
Start off with my first one, Soarin'. You're high off the ground, and if you look down, have you looked at that big pit?
I've seen shoes down there.
Exactly. That could be your body. And also, last time I was on it, I heard like squeaking, and irking from the thing. It sounded like it was gonna break.
It's been refurbished. They fixed everything's been, it's safe.
To be fair, the guy designed that from an erector set. So now I had one of those as a kid, and it wasn't very stable. So I'll give you a little credit.
Materials.
Well, still.
I went to the store. I'll have a gazillion erector sets to build this ride.
Yeah, but that just doesn't give you a lot of confidence when you watch that little thing, and he's got the little hand crank and cranks up this little thing full of, no. So I get it. I can see where you're coming from on that.
Thank you. Someone who appreciates my fears.
Moving on.
Let's see.
Grizzly. The river ride.
My fear's going down a little.
Yay!
Maybe. I don't know.
Don't worry, that's not one I want to break down.
I'm a lot braver at home than I am.
Yeah. Screaming. I've never been on that one. Same for Tower. I don't like, and I've never been on it. What's that?
Goofy's Coaster.
Goofy's Coaster. Gosh. Goofy's Coaster. Those drops. No, those are like worse than biggest drop ever.
Actually, the drops on Goofy are really, they're small. It's what scared me the most about it is that the cart you're in, there's like nothing in front of you. So it's like there's your knees and there's dead space. There's that's the end. You see right on over into the track. Yeah, so but on that one, I'll admit I will not ride in the front seat because of that. I have to be in the back seat.
Yeah, that one, the way the car is designed is actually the front of the car sticks out over the track. So when you take a corner, the nose of the car is past the track. So, and it also feels like you're very top heavy too. So you take that corner really sharp and you think, oh, you're going to flip over and fall out. Ha ha. But you don't, or at least it hasn't happened yet.
What else is there?
Ferris wheel.
Ferris, why would you even want to go? Like at any moment, it can stop and in like a natural disaster. That would be like one of the worst things to go on. Like it's a big wheel and
you might roll someplace nice. You never know.
What if you don't roll someplace nice?
You land in water. I mean, it's right there.
In a big thing that you may not get out of. I think that's it.
What else are you afraid of over there? Yeah, I think that does cover your fears there. Tower, Screamer, Goofy, Grizzly River Run, which I really hope you'd get over because I love that ride. And Soarin' is new for you because you've been fine for that with Yee for years. And just this past couple months, it started bothering you. I think that covers.
No, it's been like the whole time since.
Oh, I'm not, okay, this is, I don't know if I guess you want to count it as a fear. Well, I guess it is because I won't go on it again. And it's going to sound silly coming from an adult. But Mater's, what's his ride called? Anyways, Mater's ride.
Tow tractors.
With the tow tractors. It's similar to like the scrambler, except for you're on the ground instead of raised above, and it flings you around. Well, the very first time I went on it, I loved it because it's similar to like what you ride at the state fair, the scrambler, or at the Santa Monica Pier. And so I was like, this is wonderful. It was smooth. Well, I don't know if that was just because it was still newer. Or if the ride needs to be refurbished or what, but every time I've been on it since, my cart vibrates. It's like riding a jackhammer. And I feel like all my teeth are going to fall out of my head. And it plays a number on my spine. I'd rather go on Tower of Terror than to go on Mater's ride. But, yeah, that's really all that frightens me over there. So we'll end this segment and our episode with Drew.
Okay. So I have one ride in California adventure that totally terrifies me, and I get a lot of grief over this because of what ride it is. Now, you have to understand, I go on Tower of Terror, I go on California Screaming, Soaring, the Grizzly River Run. I got no problems with any of these. The ride in California Adventure that terrifies me is the jellyfish ride. The Jumpin' Jellyfish, that's right. If you're not familiar with this ride, it's
popular with toddlers.
Yes, it's, as they like to point out, it's for small children. And you sit down and you get hoisted up on this cable and dropped. Now, it's not a bad drop like, Tower of Terror. Here are the things that bother me about this ride. The seats in this thing are made for, shall we say, tiny tushies, all right? So if you have a large tushy, there's less of it on the seat and more of it sort of hanging out of the car. The other problem with this is the seat belts. I had this Hot Wheel track when I was a kid. I'm sure a lot of you did. This is the same material they use for the seat belts on this ride. So you don't exactly fit in the seat well. You're sort of pushed forward, and the only thing restraining you from falling out is this piece of Hot Wheel track, right? Now, I had a lot of those things break when I was a kid, and I was a lot smaller, and I didn't weigh as much as I do now. So the combination of not having a lot of support and what's holding you in being very sketchy plastic, in my opinion, not a good combination. So I avoid the jellyfish at all, and everyone's like trying to grab the microphone from me now because they want to make fun of me and they can't wait. So just a second.
Honestly, I kind of agree with you. I've been kind of a little fearful of it now.
Yeah, I noticed. Last time I mentioned it, you're like, no, and I was like, why didn't you want to go on it?
Yeah.
Because she
All
came
right,
to her senses.
so- Okay, for what? Before you think, I don't want to try this ride, take a look at it. For one, the seats, you don't feel like you're not leaning forward, nor are you even flat. They are tilted back a little bit, so you are a little reclined. Your body is not feeling like it's going to be leaning over the front. Also, like I said, the drops are gentle. It's just like, whoo.
It's not the dropping. It's not the dropping, you understand. It's the fact that you're 100 feet in the air being held on by a piece of racetrack that bothers me. I'm sorry if this is just a sketchy design. There's no yellow tab on that seatbelt either. They don't make you pull the yellow tab to make sure that seatbelt's locked in. And it's just a little clip. It's not like this thing has a buckle that's secured. It's one of those.
Got the other thing too you can put between your legs.
Yeah, we'll make Cindy tell you about her experience with Soaring, where she tried to make a fool of herself using the center strap.
Yeah. Next episode.
There we go.
Embarrassing story.
Okay. Oh, great. That'll be fun. Mine can actually double then as our most embarrassing moments at Disneyland. Mine would be on the jellyfish ride, trying to push a little kid in front of me to, not get on this ride. But So those are the things that terrify us about Disneyland and Disney California Adventure, and I think we're going to go ahead and end it here. Now we're all thoroughly embarrassed and have spread our shame throughout the world. So this will wrap it up for episode 3, coming to you live from the gorgeous downtown Riverside County studios. We will see you next time. Bye.